Hello and good morning, everyone. My name is Hannah Carlson, and I'm a freshman from Hannibal, Missouri. It is so wonderful to be here speaking with all of you today. To give you a little background on me, my dad is a Lutheran pastor, and I grew up as what you might call an extreme pastor's kid. In other words, I grew up believing that I knew every correct way to be a Christian. I had all the prayers and hymns memorized and every recitation down to a T. I didn't even grow up listening to what most people might consider normal Christian music. Instead, I spent my childhood listening to songs about the Apostles' Creed and the Ten Commandments. Even my songs had to involve memorization somehow. In my head, I knew I was a better, more correct Christian than anyone who wasn't Lutheran, and I was convinced that I was among the best Lutherans. But if I'm being honest, for a long time, my faith was largely performative. It was something I checked off a list, a series of correct answers rather than a genuine connection with Christ. When it came time for college, I was at a crossroads in my faith journey. I didn't resonate with how I'd been worshiping, but I wasn't sure how to worship any other way, especially since I'd been taught that my way was the only right way. After deciding to attend Mizzou, I met my roommate Audrey through the roommate portal. We talked a bit on social media before moving in, but we were basically strangers. During Welcome Week, Audrey really wanted to check out campus ministries, so despite my faith crisis, I followed along and we ended up at the 812 bonfire. Eventually, Audrey got connected to David, seeking more information about the ministry. Even though the bonfire was crazy busy, David took the time to take us on a tour of the building and ask us questions. I was just awkwardly following along behind, tagging along because Audrey was interested. At the time, I didn't realize that 812 would soon become my place. Once Audrey and I went that first time, we just kept on coming back. Freshman family groups, or FFGs, on Tuesday nights provided a space to meet fellow freshmen, discuss faith topics, and build community. And Thursday night worship and impromptu board game nights made 812 really feel like home. However, as last semester went on, I found myself being challenged in ways that I didn't expect. At 812, I was suddenly surrounded by students from incredibly diverse backgrounds. There were people like me who had been in pews since birth, and then there were people who had never even stepped foot inside a church until they arrived at Mizzou. And initially, the pastor's kid in me was confused. These people were genuinely investing in their faith, and they didn't even know the Apostles' Creed song. But as we sat in FFGs and weekly worship, I realized that our different levels of experience didn't create a Christian hierarchy, they created a community. We were asking hard questions together and seeking God from different starting points. I saw what it looks like to actually be the body of Christ, a group of very different people helping one another to seek Jesus. As I was preparing to speak here today, I looked through my notes app for inspiration. I wanted to find some deep theological insight that I might have written down last semester that I could share with all of you. Instead, this is what I found, all very disorganized and in separate notes, mind you. Evan likes barbecue chips. Lizzie likes copper rings. Denali wants stickers. Reminder, bring Monroe candy. David likes purple and green. Julia likes dark chocolate. Jack likes Sam Cooke. Kaylin loves Snickers, and so on and so on. At first I thought, well, that's not very helpful. I've spent all this time growing and transforming in my faith, and all I have to show for it is a bunch of random, disorganized notes and reminders. But then I realized these notes are evidence of the community that I was building without even knowing it. Proof that throughout last semester, I had people in my corner, people I got to know and grew alongside, both in friendship and in faith. At 812, I found a Christian community at Mizzou that looks nothing like what I imagined for myself. Nobody here knows Luther's small catechism, and most people here actually celebrate Halloween instead of Reformation Day. And don't get me wrong, I'm not done with the Lutheran Church, but I am so grateful that God gave me this diverse, supportive family for this season of my life. Within 812, I've been given the opportunity to invest in real relationships where we can be honest about our doubts, our questions, and our struggles. Most importantly, I've been given the ability to grow in my personal relationship with God. I've learned that faith isn't a performance to be perfected by a few. It's a life to be shared by all of us, together. I want to say thank you to all of you. It is because of your heart for ministry and your continued support that a community like 812 can exist. You provide a space where students like me can find a home, ask the big questions, and discover what it means to follow Jesus in a real and tangible way. Thank you for investing in us and for filling my faith journey at Mizzou with love, laughter, and light. I cannot wait to see what next semester and the next 3 years after that at 812 will bring.
If you would stand and worship with us. I searched the world, but it could. A man's empty prayer whenever then you put me back together. And every desire is now satisfied here in your love. Oh, there's no better than you, Lord. There's nothing, nothing. My friend, it's your all the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Praise. All the earth will shout. Still the God, and there's not again. Oh, You give life, you are love, you bring light to the dark. Give hope, you restore every heart that is broken. Great are is your breath in our life, so we pray. In our, so we pray. All the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. And all the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. Waiting in the quiet place, longing for praise. Lord, I look to you. You're faithful to reveal your heart from the very. I am waiting in the quiet place, longing for your faithful to you opened up. You're more than enough. Yeah. You're more than enough. You are my inheritance. You hold my world inside your. You are my inheritance. You hold my world inside your.
may be seated.
All right. All right. So my name is Evan Sapp. I'm a freshman at 812 Ministries, but I'm going to give your announcements, and I'm sure the front half of the church at least is like, oh boy, this guy again with the announcements, and the back half, I think I've done it a couple weeks in a row, so it's becoming a thing. It's getting a little weird. But so first of all, tomorrow night, every Monday night, we've been doing the Revelation Bible study. It's a lot of fun. You should stop by. They're Monday nights at 6 p.m. in the Lbf basement. We've got some leftover stuff from game night, so there's some snacks left over that you can eat on while we talk about the end of the world. So, no, it's a lot more positive light than that. It's a lot of fun. Next week, we will be in a special called business meeting for motions related to calling David as our new pastor, and you must be present to vote. You have to be a member and at least 16 years old to vote on that. It'll be right after church. So mark your calendars and remember to do that. If you're here, we'll tell you, so it'll work out. And then on the back table, be sure to get signed up for the Domino's tournament on March 13th. So it's 2 Fridays from now. And that way Bart can get it ready and going. Do you have anything else on that, Bart? Good? All right. And then lastly, you can sign up to help in our nursery using this QR code below. But did you guys hear about the guy that went to the doctor for a headache? So the doctor, he's like checking this guy's ear, and he starts pulling money out. And it counts out to about $1,999. And he's like, where's all this money coming from? This must be why you're not feeling too grand.
Howdy, everyone. Good morning. My name is Hayden Bunyak. That's a hard thing to follow up right there. But I'm a sophomore here at Mizzou, and I have been attending 812 ever since the welcome week of my freshman year. When I was invited to give my testimony here, it felt a little bit daunting. I used to think that word was reserved only for people with eye-opening, groundbreaking stories. And while I praise God for the different ways He reaches people, I have realized that God is often seen much more clearly in the mundane parts of life. His glory peeks through the everyday, giving us a glimpse of our future with Him. Lately, God has been teaching me about consistency. It's easy to find Him in the big moments, but it's more powerful to rely on the God who sees you try and most of the time fail whenever you think no one else does. One of the things that helps me stay consistent in my faith and grow with God is 812. I've spent an absurd amount of time in the booths at Vita, specifically the corner booth, talking with friends about faith and finding the light that leads to life that Jesus talks about in our namesake, John 8:12. Jesus says, "I am the light of the world. If you follow me, you won't have to walk in darkness because you will have the light that leads to life." Weekly worship, small groups, the occasional 812 weekend event all have something in common. They all bring together believers that want to be in community with each other. The building provides a space outside of the norms of college life, something that I and many others value more than we can express. 812 is a source of Jesus' light that guides us through the darkness surrounding us. But 812 has impacted me in a way that goes deeper than just the fun times of the conversations. It has become a place where I've learned that service to each other is how we build a home. That could mean doing what you can to help around the building, or just sitting around and talking with someone you normally don't. I found myself wanting to do my part to make sure this place feels like as much of a home to everyone else as it does to me. It reminds me of a moment at the end of C.S. Lewis's Chronicles of Narnia. The characters realized that the world they loved, Narnia, was actually just a shadow of the real Narnia, the one that lasts forever. One of them says, "The reason why we love the old Narnia is that it sometimes looked a little like this." For me, the building is a glimpse of Narnia. It's a place where sometime heaven peeks through. It's a reminder that God is constantly inviting us into communion with Him, not just in the big moments, but in every hour. We just have to choose every day to accept that invitation. So as I finish up here, I hope you can tell the profound effect 812 has had on the way I've experienced college. It helps me stay consistent in my walk with God It's a light that leads us through the darkness and a place where every day we can accept that invitation together. Thank you. And we're going to continue in worship this morning. You're welcome to sit or stand as you're comfortable.
Came to the world you created, trading your crown for a cross. You willingly died, your innocent life paid the cost. Counting your status as nothing, the King of all kings came to serve. Washing my feet, covering me with your love. If more of you means less of me, take everything. Yes, all of you is all I need. Take everything. You are my life and my treasure, the one that I can't live without. Here at your feet, my desires and dreams I lay down. Here at your desires. If more of you means less of me, take it. Yes, all of you is all I need. Take it. If more of you means less of me, take it. Yes, all of you is all I need. Take it. Oh, like only you can. Here with my heart in your Father, I pray, make me more like Jesus. This way. Father, I pray, make me more like Jesus. Oh, change me like only you can. Here with my heart in your like Jesus. This way. Father, I pray, make me more like Jesus. More like Jesus. I pray, make me more like Jesus. Oh. If more of you means less of me, take it. Yes, all of you is all I need. Take it. If more of you means less of me, take it. is all take it. Send out your light in truth. Let them guide me. Let them lead me to your holy mountain. There I will go and run to your the source of all my joy. I'll pray. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Send out your light in truth. Let them lead me to your let to your the soul. Yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, the Bible tells me so. Yes, me. Yes, Jesus loves me so. The Bible tells me so. Send out your light in truth. Let them guide me. Let them lead me to your holy mountain. You all may be seated. And if you could have the children come up for the children's sermon, just up to this front row here.
All right. Good morning. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Lizzie. I'm a sophomore at Mizzou. Let's see who we have up here this morning. What's your name?
Mason.
Bob? Okay. What's your name? Can you say that again? Tyler? Okay. What's your name?
Nora.
Ella? What's your name?
Nora.
Jacob? What's your name?
Ella.
Tessa? What's your name?
Ella.
Guys, his name is Evan. What's your name?
Elijah, and just call me Elijah, and this is Amelia.
This is Elijah, and what's her name?
Amelia.
Annabeth. What's your name?
Haven.
Oh, Sally? Okay. Okay. What's your real name?
Mason.
Mason. Okay. We got it. That's enough of my intro, I understand. Okay. First off, I have a question for everyone. What helps you grow? Does anybody know? It's a simple question. Milk. It's a good one. Good one. Isaac?
Vitamins and minerals.
Vitamins and minerals. What else helps us grow? Time. You have something? Ella? That's good. Nora? Time. Okay, time again.
The essentials of life.
The essentials of life. That's a good one. That's a good one. Okay, second question. This one's a little bit harder. What helps you grow in your faith? Any ideas? Anyone that's not Isaac? Ella?
The Bible.
The Bible, that's good. You read it, practice it. She has one.
Going to church.
Going to church. Very good. Anyone over here? Well, huh?
Bye.
Ooh, I agree. That's a good one. That's what I like to do to help grow my faith. What helps grow your skills?
Practicing them.
Practicing them? Nora? What's something that helps you grow your skills? Practicing them. Okay. You have one? Doing them, that's right. Doing them daily, that's right. A regular practice of it. Do you have one, Haven? Is there a skill? Do you play a sport? What sport do you play? You play softball. What do you do to get better at softball? Go outside and practice. That's very good. Okay. One more question, guys. What helps you grow emotionally and spiritually? This one's the extra hardest. Loving your parents. Okay, I like it. That is one of the 10 Commandments, as we hear up here in the front. Huh?
Obey your parents.
Obey your parents, that's right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Okay, anyone else have an answer for this question? What helps you grow emotionally and spiritually?
Praising God.
Praising God, I like it. Other things could be expressing your emotions, learning how to work through conflict management. Whenever you go to school, you learn how to pop a bubble in your mouth when you walk through the hallways. You learn how to keep 4 of your chair legs on the floor. And then more like spiritually, you might learn songs at church or go to vacation Bible school, learn different verses, things like that. So my main point is that we need other people. This has been hard for me this semester. You know why? A long time ago, I got to see my favorite person every day. Have you seen him? He's this tall. He's very loud. I think his name is Jude. Oh my God, there he is. Oh my gosh, you guys know Judah too? Well, this semester has been tricky. High five. Okay, that's fine. This semester has been tricky because I do not get to see Judah every day. We used to hang out at 812 at the BSU. We would play. He would always make me smile, and he was basically my emotional support animal. But Caitlin and David made the selfish decision to put him in preschool. I don't really understand because Judah couldn't possibly have anything better to do than hang out with me all the time, right? Right? Wrong. Judah is almost 2 years old. I know a lot about toddlers and 2-year-olds. Now that Judah is nearing 2 years old, and as David says, he's not just a log anymore, he needs other people. Would it be good for Judah to stay at home all the time and spend time with his family? Would that be good, Nora?
What?
Would it be good for Judah to stay home all day and just hang out with his family?
He needs to make friends.
He does, that's right. At this age, he needs other kids his age and specialized teachers to help him and not just hanging around college students. Judah is learning how to share. He's learning how to follow directions. He will learn how to use his words. He will learn not to bite people, learn how to listen to his teachers, and learn not to throw toys at other children. Judah needs other people, and so do I, and I think you do too. Sometimes we can get along with other people. Sometimes we're good at it. Sometimes I'm good at it, but sometimes I'm not. Even though I'm an adult, I'm really big. I'm 19 years old. Do you think that I get along with people all of the time? What do you think? You don't think so? Oh, why not? Nobody gets along with everybody? That's right. I don't get along with everybody. I struggle with it too. Sometimes it's hard. So we understand that we need other people, but that's not always easy. So we can navigate it together. Your community, family, your class at school, your friends, and Little Bonfim Baptist Church is made better when you grow. Growing physically, but especially emotionally and spiritually. You don't grow without other people, and you help others grow. To recap, we need others to help us grow. We aren't just logs, so we work together to grow. You can help others grow, and others can help you grow. You can pray for others. You can care for others. Don't pretend you don't need other people. You can practice sharing. Ask your family and friends how you can pray for them. Or ask what they're struggling with and see how you can help. You can both grow through those things. Most importantly, you are not alone in your journey. You need community. Use your skills to help the people around you. All right, I'm going to close this up in prayer. If you'll bow your heads with me. Dear God, thank you for bringing us all here to church today, all of the college students, all of the congregation, all of the children. Help us all work on community and helping others grow, as I've said in our sermon. Help the children see that in their everyday and help them grow in all of the ways that they need to be strong. Amen. Thank you. You may go back to your seats.
Okay. For those who don't know me, my name is Bobby Sostrom, and I am currently a senior at Mizzou and A12 Ministries. Just get all the questions out of the way. I'm a secondary math education major, and I'm graduating in May. And no, I don't know where I'm going next school year. That's a future issue. But as I was arriving at college 4 years ago, wow, 4 years, that's crazy. All right, I had to start becoming more independent and actually doing things. I couldn't rely on my mom to do my laundry. I couldn't rely on my dad to cook for me, and I had to become way more independent and do all the everyday things on my own. This is something that also goes into my own faith life as I started getting into that, but a little background on me for that. I grew up in a Catholic family, so naturally I went to the Catholic Church, and that's where I grew up in. I went through all the years of PSR classes I had to go through to be able to be confirmed in the Catholic Church. I went through and did all the correct motions to look like that good Catholic. And, as I went on, my family, we started off going to Mass every week. And then it went to every other week. And then it just slowly became less and less until I got confirmed in the church. And then around that time, we kind of stopped going altogether. At that point, I ended up kind of losing my relationship with God, and I honestly didn't really think about him. I didn't really care all too much. And it was something that just completely slipped away from me. And then I had a conversation with a friend around the time we graduated from high school, and they kind of called me out on it. They said something along the lines of, I say I'm Catholic, I say I'm a Christian, but I don't show it with my words or my actions. And this is something that hit me really hard and way harder than I thought it would, because I didn't really think about that stuff anymore. It wasn't really part of my life anymore. So it was really weird. It really made me question things, and especially as I was getting into college. And then I eventually found A12 to help answer those questions. Over the last 4 years, primarily through the community here at A12 Ministries, God has taken my faith from God has taken my faith from something I inherited to something I own. And when I look at the Bible, the person who reminds me most of what I went through is Peter. So we're going to go through some things with Peter now. If we look in Matthew 14, 25 through 29, about 3 o'clock in the morning, Jesus came towards them, walking on the water. When the disciples saw him walking on the water, they were terrified. In their fear, they cried out, "It's a ghost!" But Jesus spoke to them at once. "Don't be afraid," he said. "Take courage, I am here." Then Peter called to him, "Lord, if it's really you, tell me to come to you, walking on the water." "Yes, come," said Jesus said. So Peter went over the side of the boat and walked on the water towards Jesus. So here, the disciples are in their boat, which is a place of familiarity. It's a place where they feel relatively safe. And even in the storm, they feel safe within this boat. They're comfortable. It is what they know. But once they saw Jesus, who was out on the water, he was walking on the water, which should be impossible. Jesus then invites Peter to step out of this boat, out of everything he knew, step out of the place he feels safe in, and step out of his comfort zone, and walk with him ultimately. To see Jesus there, there's more outside of this boat with Jesus, and he would leave the boat behind. To know what is out there and to be closer to Jesus. Now, my first encounter with A12 Ministries was when let me slow down. All right, my first encounter with A12 Ministries was when it was still the BSU. And I walked right past them as they're handing out snow cones. I didn't say a single word to them. They said hi, they were so nice. I didn't say a word. My dad told me that was rude, and I kept walking. And I was like, why would I stop? I'm not really looking for a ministry. Especially, I'm Catholic. I'm not looking for a Baptist ministry. Spoiler alert, 2 weeks later, I was hanging out snow cones. So that's all I knew was being Catholic, and that's all I knew. I knew what to expect. It was familiar. That was my boat. Then fast forward a few days. I heard 2 of my friends talking about this Bible study for a group of freshmen, and there will be free pizza. They had me at the free pizza. I decided to join them, and I went to this Bible study. And little did I know, it was still going to be that same building with that bus out in front that was offering me snow cones. And I went right by thinking it was a big campus. I'll never see them again. I did. But so it was here at these FFGs. I continued to go every week, mostly for the food at first. And then as I kept going and I started actually caring about it, I started challenging my own faith, and it started bringing more independence into it, and then also make me question everything I knew in rebuilding my relationship with God and building that to be my own. And this made me realize that there was more out there than what my boat was. There was more outside the boat that was on that water. And I had to take that responsibility in my own faith to continue not floating on the boat that I already have known and that I inherited and that was passed down to me. And then growth begins the moment we decide we want Jesus for ourselves, not just because we're raised to do so and told to do so. So then now, if we continue in Matthew and kind of finish off the story with the boat. But when he saw the strong wind and the wave, he was terrified and began to sink. "Save me, Lord," he shouted. Jesus immediately reached out and grabbed him. "You have so little faith," Jesus said. "Why did you doubt me?" So this kind of moment, Peter kind of makes a little mistake. I'll elaborate a little bit more in a second. And then now if we go on to John, if we move on to John 18, 15 through 18, and 25 through 27. Simon Peter followed Jesus, as did another disciple. That other disciple was equated with the high priest, so he was allowed to enter through the high priest's courtyard with Jesus. Peter had stayed outside the gate. The woman asked Peter, "You're not one of the man's disciples, are you?" "No," he said, "I am not." Because it was cold, the household servants and the guards had made a charcoal fire. They stood around it, warming themselves, and Peter stood with them, warming himself. Meanwhile, as Simon Peter was standing by the fire, warming himself, they asked him again, "You're not one of his disciples, are you?" He denied it again, saying, "No, I am not." But one of the household slaves of the high priest asked, Didn't I see you out in the olive grove with Jesus?" Again, Peter denied it, and immediately the rooster crowed. So one of the reasons why I love Peter so much is there are so many times you can see in his faith journey that it was not a linear line going up. It was never a straight line. It's always a line going up, and then down, and then up, and then down. And it kind of just continues throughout it. And he continues to grow through that. But when Peter stepped over the side of the boat and was walking on the water towards Jesus, he was at one of the peaks of his faith. That was one of those high points that he has. And then it immediately crashed to a low as he starts to sink because he saw a wave and starts focusing on the potential danger that there is. Under normal circumstances, if you're standing on water and there's kind of a wave coming towards you, that might be a little dangerous. And Peter kind of starts focusing on the potential bad outcomes that are on there. And he took his eyes off Jesus and the safety of Jesus. And Peter starts doubting if Jesus could still protect him from the wave, even without the protection of the boat. This doubt is one of the low points in Peter's faith, but even in the low points, in the doubt that Peter has in the moment, Jesus was still able to reach out and pull Peter out of the water and back to safety. Peter, who wanted the comfort of the warmth in the fire, went to stand by it. He was scared of the people finding out who he was and that he was with Jesus. When they were questioning him, he would end up denying that he knew Jesus, which is something that when Jesus predicted, he said he would never do, and he would die before that happens. Peter, at that point, went against what he believed. He went against his faith because of the people around him and the comfort of things that were convenient to him in the moment. This would end up being probably one of the biggest regrets from Peter that we see. So, college is kind of full of winds and waves that we come across. There have definitely been times over the last 4 years that I've had waves within my life. There were some times that were some of the hardest times for me. There were many times I felt alone and fell into a dark place. I had a lot of self-doubt. I didn't think I was good enough for myself. I didn't think I was good enough for the community around me. And I didn't think I was good enough for God. This feeling of not feeling good enough came from many different things. Sometimes it was from me doubting everything I've ever known. It came from me breaking down the walls that I built up, I inherited, didn't really build up for myself. But I started breaking down the faith that I've known. And that was hard for me my entire life. That was hard for me since I've had these beliefs for my entire life, but they never felt like my own. But at the same time, it was all I knew. It was comfort. Wrestling with that wrestling with where I stand within denominations of the church was a struggle. All I knew, I didn't think I belonged to a Catholic church anymore, but I didn't belong there, and that's all I knew, and that felt like the place for God. So did I even belong to God? That was a hard struggle. But then a different wave I had that led to not feeling like I'm good enough for. Okay. A different wave I had was feeling like I didn't live good enough. I started living a very do as I say, not as I do kind of life. I would contradict myself a lot with telling others to go do things and come closer to God, whether it was through discipleships, small groups, or just everyday conversations. I would say one thing, and then I wouldn't think about it, and I would go off and do another. And ultimately, this made me feel like I wasn't living true to myself. This made me feel like I was living with a facade, and I was only living to my true faith when it was convenient for me to do so. And I would be abandoning God whenever it was also convenient for me to do. In these times where I felt like I was sinking and where I was going under the wave, 812 was always there for me. When I needed help with these things, someone was always there for me. Whether it was David or this guy, I don't know if you know him, Kirabel. He's kind of weird. But along with them, anyone from my small groups to discipleships or any of my friends I made along the way, I knew they were always there for me with no judgment. And when it came to figuring out what I believed and building my own faith, I didn't find myself in a position where I was being told what to believe. I didn't find myself being, this is what you should believe. Instead, it was all, here are some scripture passages for you to look over to build upon this on your own. Or here's a book, here's a podcast, or just have a productive conversation in why they believe this. And being really open to breaking that down with them. And I'm so thankful for that because it allowed me to build my own. And Peter, at this point, went against what he believed. He went against his faith because of the people around him. And from the comfort of things around him, in the moment, this would end up being probably the biggest regret from Peter. Wait, nope, I just read the wrong paper. My bad. Point still stands. But being able to build up my own faith, which is bringing me closer to God, and continue to grow closer to Him, allowing myself to live true to my own faith and my true self. Faithfulness is not about never sinking. It's about who can catch you and when you do, and along with that, God's grip on you is stronger than your grip on Him. So then now, if we continue going through the story of Peter, we get to John 21. Verses 9 and then 15 through 17. When they got there, they found breakfast waiting for them. Fish cooking over charcoal fire and some bread. After breakfast, Jesus asked Simon Peter, "Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these?" "Yes, Lord," Peter replied. "You know I love you. Then feed my lambs," Jesus told him. Jesus repeated the question, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" "Yes, Lord," Peter said. "You know I love you." "Take care of my sheep," Jesus said. A third time he asked him, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Peter was hurt that Jesus had asked this question a third time. He said, "Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you," Jesus said. Then feed my sheep. And then, so this is from after the resurrection. Jesus meets all the disciples on the beach. He was cooking breakfast for them. And as doing so, he built a charcoal fire, which is recreating the same vibe of Peter's greatest failure and biggest regret. It is here Peter is pulled aside from Jesus. But Jesus doesn't lecture Peter on his denial. He doesn't really lecture him on this. Instead, he just asks him, very simple question, "Do you love me?" And then when Peter responds yes, Jesus responds, "Feed my sheep." And he does this 3 times, which is the same amount of times Peter denied Jesus. Jesus asking this question 3 times, and Peter answering that he does love Jesus 3 times, kind of plays a great parallel to Peter denying him 3 times and making up for the fact that, anyway. And then Peter feels hurt that Jesus would ask him so many times that he just asks if he loves him. And it's at this point, Jesus is meeting Peter where he is at. He is meeting Peter at his lowest point. And he meets him at his failures to restore him from these failures. This is the turning point for Peter, a deep shift within Peter and his faith that went with him. The moment that felt like a shift within my own life was during my freshman year. And it was during fall retreat. And to kind of just put the fall retreat for you in my perspective as I was going through it, I did not want to be there. David and Kirabel kind of cornered me in Sparky's, and then David just kind of started signing me up, and I was like, no, stop, fine, I'll sign up on my own. So I guess thank you. But once they did that and I got there, I still did not want to be there. I was still questioning why I'm there. And then a cow tongue came out, and we started playing Ultimate Cow Tongue. Now I'm really thinking, why am I here? But as I kind of continued going through, I reminded myself that I said once I signed up, I was going to go through this with an open heart and an open head to try and get as much out of it as I can. There we go, got the words. But being able to do this, I started listening to the things around me. I started actually listening to the different conversations I'm having in these breakout groups, whatever we're talking about. I can't remember, it was that so long ago. But as we kind of keep going through these, I started really paying attention to the little things in my life. And now I remember sitting at breakfast on that last morning. I remember sitting there just really thinking about the weekend overall and taking the cow tongue out of the picture. And this is where my faith was at that moment. And if I started really asking myself, do I want to continue building a relationship with Jesus? We then went to worship before we left Camp Clover Point, and then during this last worship, something was just telling me I was in the right place and I need to continue to build my relationship with Jesus and continue with this community. When I look back on things, this was the time I decided to step out of my boat. I decided I need to start bringing my faith from something I inherited and start building a relationship with Jesus that was on my own and with myself, and no input from others. Well, input from others, but you know what I mean. But in this moment, true spiritual growth happens when we move from knowing about Jesus to having a deep loving for Jesus. So then now, if we continue on with Peter, Acts 2:14 and 41. Then Peter stepped forward with the 11 other apostles and shouted to the crowd, "Listen carefully, all of you, fellow Jews and residents of Jerusalem. Make no mistake about this. Those who believed what Peter said were baptized and added to the church that day, about 3,000 in all." So this is a few weeks later after the resurrection. The Holy Spirit comes, and the same Peter who, in the moment of fear and wanting comfort, denied Jesus. He is now standing up in front of thousands of people in Jerusalem and telling them all about Jesus of Nazareth and how he is both Lord and Messiah. From this sermon Peter is preaching and brings 3,000 people to faith and were baptized. Peter went from someone who would doubt and deny Jesus to having such spiritual growth to where he goes out and preaches in front of thousands. The spiritual growth is only able to happen once you have that deep, loving relationship with Christ. So then, now, when I look at where I am at right now, especially as I'm standing right here in front of all you guys, it seems really crazy to me, especially if you told freshman year Bobby, especially before that fall retreat, that one day I would leave my borrowed Catholic faith and tell him that I would be standing up here preaching a sermon to all of you as an A12 senior. I would have thought you were crazy and probably that you had the wrong Bobby Soderstrom. But here I am standing right here talking to you about my experience over the last 4 years, about how my faith completely transformed, and I could not have transformed my faith without God's grace and his workings in my life. I also don't think I could have learned to see God's grace in my life and God's working in my life without the faithful discipleships I've had over the time at A12 community, or at the A12 community, that was able to take me in, help me learn, grow, and lead over the last 4 years. While learning that when we allow God to walk with us through our doubts and failures, he transforms us into people who can boldly point others to him. God used A12 Ministries to take me from a boat of tradition through the waves of college and into a bold personal faith. Now, the thing with Peter's story is that it's not a story of a college student. It's a story of humanity. It doesn't matter whether you're 18 or 80. We all have the same choice to make. Will we stay in the boat of what we know and what is comfortable, or will we step out of this boat and step into a relationship that will transform us? The thing with Peter's story, for a lot of us, faith starts as the boat, that is something borrowed. It could be something that we get from our parents and our families, the traditions that we've had growing up and we hold on to, or the expectations of the people around us, and there's nothing wrong with the boat, by all means, there's nothing wrong with it. But if we want to continue to build true faith and, sorry, I lost my place. All right, there's nothing wrong with the boat, is able to keep, okay, got it. Sorry, my bad, guys. As we step out of this boat, and there's nothing wrong with the boat, it kept the disciples' faith for a long time. But, however, you cannot walk on the water if you never leave the side of the boat. There we go. But if you never leave the side of the boat you're on, true spiritual growth only begins when we stop living off someone else's convictions and start seeking out and building that relationship for ourselves. This is the moment he stops being the God of our family or the traditions that we have, and starts being the Lord of our lives. But also, let's be honest, it's really scary to step out of that boat. When I stepped out of the boat into my own faith over the last 4 years, the waves I experienced were real. I faced seasons of deep self-doubt and moments that I felt like a fraud. There were so many times I was choosing my own comfort over my own convictions. If you're here today and you feel like you're sinking or you feel like your failures have defined you, look at Peter. Jesus did not wait for Peter to swim back to the boat. Instead, he reached down into the water and grabbed him. Faithfulness is not about never sinking. It's about who catches you when you do begin to sink. Jesus sets that charcoal fire in every one of our lives. He meets us in the middle of our greatest failures. He does not lecture us or shame us. He simply comes and asks one question: do you love me? This is a shift that changed everything for me. At A12 Ministries, it moved me from a religion of doing the right motions to a relationship of deep personal love. Whenever you realize that God's grip on you is stronger than the grip on him, you stop being afraid of the waves. You start becoming someone who can stand up just like Peter did in Jerusalem and boldly point others to the grace that saved you. And I would like to thank you guys for allowing me to come up here, and also for listening to all the other students that we have talking today. And as the band comes up, I invite you to stand and worship with us.
God of Abraham, you're the God of covenant, of faithful promises. Time and time again, you have proven you do just what you say. Though the storm may come and the I'm saved. I put my faith, my heart. I put my faith, my heart. Cause I, yeah, cause my, I'll never, cause he's never, so he won't, he won't, he won't, he won't, he won't, he won't fail, he won't fail, no, he won't.
Thanks, band. Okay, hi, my name is Lauren. I'm our last speaker today, so no more speaking. I'm also an 8th semester student at Mizzou. I'm a nursing student, and I've been so lucky to be involved with the BSU/812 for the past 4 years. I have a very similar story to a lot that we've heard today. Going to college, it was very daunting with the idea of being independent in my own faith. I was also raised Catholic, checked off all the boxes like Bobby did. By the way, me and Jenna were the ones that invited him to the pizza, so we're the best, basically. But just coming to the BSU, I think the moral of all of our stories is that it's just a place where we can all come together and like experience vulnerability for the first time. I had never talked with other people about my faith, about being scared, about having questions. Me and Abby in our freshman family group would ask questions. Poor David. We would ask like 16 questions, and it would take up everybody's time in the freshman family group because we're both these Catholic kids that had no idea what it was like to like have a relationship with God, and we had so many questions. So thanks, David. But yeah, again, like realizing that I could have a relationship with God that wasn't just checking boxes and doing things that made me appear as a good Catholic, I think was really important for me. And throughout these 4 years, I think I couldn't have done nursing school without the BSU and 812. Growing that relationship with God is something that I think is really important for a job like nursing. You see a lot. You go through a lot of uncertainty, grief. There's a lot of unpredictability. You get off of a 12-hour night shift and come to Lbf to talk. I'm going to bed. But learning to trust God throughout college has prepared me, I think, for the hospital more than anything, and that's because of the 812 community. I've had so many opportunities here to lead. I never thought I could be a leader before I joined 812, but leading small groups, serving on 3 different spring break trips, and pouring into younger students just like older students did for me, I think has been such an important experience in my college career. I think each experience has shaped me personally and spiritually so much.
I couldn't be more grateful for the support and friendship that this community brings. Now, as I prepare to graduate, I can honestly say that my faith is no longer something I just inherited, but rather something unique of my own. I don't have all the answers, but I have trust. I trust that God has equipped me for this calling, both as a nurse, a leader, a learner, and a follower of God. 812 has always been more than just a college ministry for me. It's been my second home. It's a place of comfort and a training ground that's shaped me into who I'm becoming. And then I want to thank Little Bomb Fam especially for your continued support towards our program. You've helped so many students like me grow over the years and help be involved in such a loving and supportive community. And I couldn't have been more grateful for the opportunities you've helped to create for me and others. Will you pray with me? God, I want to thank you so much for bringing us all together on this beautiful morning. I couldn't be more grateful for this gift of community and getting to share and worshiping you. I pray for prosperity for both the Little Bomb Fem and 812 Ministries in the upcoming year, and that we continue to grow closer, fruitful relationships. In Jesus' name, amen. We're done.